All right, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, welcome, 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 everyone. We are live, and our topic today: hear our screams. Black women and abuse demands attention. Today's program is probably going to be a little emotional. It's probably going to be a little hard, but it's a program that we got to have. It's a program that must be spoken. And we have a special guest with us today, and we're going to let Sister Cassie introduce our special guest. And let's get rocking, Sister Cassie.
All right, you guys are in for an amazing treat. I'm telling you. Sometimes we have to go through things for it to be our testimony. And this young lady here has gone through some things, and this is her testimony. And it's not just a testimony for her, but it's a testimony for women. We've all gone through some things, and you might not have gone through what she's gone through, but all of us have gone through something. And what we've gone through, either write the book or you have to talk about it. You have to help encourage other young women that are going through or have gone through and just don't know how to get the healing. So this is her story, and I'm gonna let her tell her story. Go ahead, Nicole.
Hi, so my name is Jay Brown. I go by Jay Brown, and my name is Jaquala, um, formerly Lewis. And so my story is intense, and I think the biggest part is just making sure that we're always authentic and being saying our story and not being afraid to say. So as far as the hearing our screams, I will say that screams start from little girls who are molested at 8, 9, 10, and then you grow up and then you're trying to find love because you don't know where love should come from. And so for me specifically, that happened, and I was molested from a female cousin and a male cousin, and not and I was like, oh, okay, well, is this wrong? Like what's going on? And so you I grew up and I started wondering like what that should look like and finding relationships in younger men, right? Because I was younger. And so by 16 or 17, I found myself like, oh, if I do this and I'm sexually active, then they will love me. And so that's not how you get love. With that being said, I got married pretty young. I'm trying to remember. 20. I guess I was 20, had my first child at 21, and things looked okay, but then I didn't realize that some form of abuse wasn't physical, but mentally and emotionally. And then growing up in church, right? Church people tell you that you should be quiet and be submissive, but understanding as you get older that submission is not just given. It is something that is earned. And what am I submitting to? Quiet, not being truthful. Um, and so even then I was like, oh, I'm in church, so you should just be a good girl and don't disappoint your family and do the right thing. So you start to suppress your feelings, not being able to talk, not having a voice, leaving that relationship, getting into another one, literally running for my life, right? Kicked down the stairs, dragged. I remember being hit so hard that I lost bodily fluids, urine, feces. I literally felt my head move around and I was like, God, I'm about to die. Like, I need you to help me. And I ran into the garage and he jumped on the um, car in the garage and was like, you're about to die today. Luckily, a neighbor heard it and called 911 because that could have been the end. And I think what happens so many times is then we think like, oh, well, I have this kid. I'm sure we can work it out. It's a cycle. So for me, it was more of, and I was still afraid to say like this happened. So even though fled from Indianapolis to Texas, 4 kids, $300, when I got here, I couldn't tell anybody because like, how did that happen to you? And it was simply a moment of breakdown. And I remember styling a lady in a salon and she said something about like how this happened to her. And she was crying, but I'm like, girl, like I can't help you. But really w- I could because I've been through it. But until you go through it and start your healing process, um, you can't, or you start talking about it. And I've learned that most times when you're talking about your story and the things that you encounter, it is definitely for you first, right? And then to other people. So that's kind of how my healing started.
Okay, well, let me just ask you a couple questions on that.
Okay.
Um, how long did it take you to even want to talk about it?
Oh, um, to talk about anything, I would say what year's 2024? So 20, so 7 years ago, and I'm 48. So I would say maybe 24 years.
Wow.
Hmm.
Okay. What were the signs? Start from when you met him. When did he, because I know he didn't, or did you feel something about him when you first met him? Or did you ignore it? Or did you say, I'm just tripping? You know how some people see stuff and maybe, maybe not. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
When did it start? Did it start when you first met him? Was there something that clicked and said, something's wrong with this dude? But
Yes.
I'm gonna still so
Hmm.
talk about that for us.
So that's a great question because that is where the red flag, when I thought back, I remember sitting in the car and a text message came across, and because I was then a hairstylist, it was a client who's a guy, and the person ended, he said, So you're just gonna style a guy?" I'm like, "Oh, he's been my client for, I don't know, 3 years." "Oh yeah, that's ridiculous." And like hit the window, like elbowed the window, and the window shattered. And I was like, "That's weird." I said, "You're good?" "Yeah, yeah, this is ridiculous. I don't know how I'm that strong." And I was like, "Okay." So I kind of was like, so he got the window fixed a couple days later, and we continued the relationship. But then more signs happen. Oh, it would just be, "Oh, I can't take this. I'm running out." And I run. He's running to the car, zooming down the street, 90 on a small street. And then you're like, "Oh my God, like, is he going to kill himself?" So then it was kind of that, let me save that person kind of syndrome. Cause I don't want anything bad to happen on my watch. So let me just help him. And it couldn't have been a help kind of situation. So
Because it's almost like he just wanted to stay the way he was. He didn't want to change. This was working for him, you know.
yes, and
They
and,
don't
and some
ever. Go ahead.
yeah, and I was gonna say sometimes the thing is they think they're okay. It's been this way for so long. This is who I am. I Why are you demanding change from me? And that is where you're like, well, because you could be a better person. But I tell women all the time, like, you can't change anybody but yourself. And the biggest part is looking at the red flags. Like, don't second guess your intuition, that gut feeling that says something's wrong. The moment that you have it, sit with it. Even if you're wrong, sit with it for a minute. I promise you're not wrong. Just sit in it. And I'm learning to sit in it and digest it and process everything that's happening in my emotions. So that way I'm not quick to react and say, "Oh, I can fix it."
Wow. What do you suggest when you say sit with it, notice it? What do you suggest they do with it when they see it? And
Mm.
sometimes they're so emotional in tune because sometimes they don't start immediately. They kind of gotta smooth it. They gotta, like you said, over compliment. They gotta they gotta wheel you in first, and that has happened to some women. They don't see it right away.
And that was still the same. You don't see the signs always, but you can feel the feeling, right? And if there's a question, I say, if there is a question in your mind where even if it's love bombing, where they're just buying you all the gifts, and the moment they say, "Well, why did you wear that black dress but not that red dress?" Process that. Why? Are we going to a black event? I mean, are we going to a red event? Doesn't matter if I wear black or red. And you can ask a question. Oh, I'm sorry. Should I have worn red? Is the dress attire red versus black? I just thought black was a little more classy. Keep it calm. But then when I mean sit with it in your head, you can write it down. You can voice text it to yourself now. We got all these things, and go back and put a date on it and say on 4/6/25, this is what was said to me. And then sit with that. Sit with that meaning, listen, replay it in your head, and actually ask yourself, what did this mean? Even after you've asked for clarification. Okay, well, what did you mean by that? James, whatever. And he says something like, well, I like red. I wanted you on a red dress. Mm, okay. And if it's not, you don't always have to compromise, because sometimes we'll be like, oh, it's okay. He wanted me in a red dress. But if that continues, because
Right.
that could be a red flag, right? Because now I have to control what you wear.
Mm.
And so those are signs that I think that people should watch. Not, I hate to say document it because it seems so formal, but put it to paper and like leave it there for a second.
Okay. Wow. So when you were dating him, how long did it take for the abuse to start?
Um, Probably 6 months.
Okay.
Um,
The first time, what did he say?
oh, the first time I was throwing a plate. Oh, I don't want that. I don't eat pancakes, I think it was. And I'm like, okay, so we throw plates,
Okay.
and then he left. So that was like a small thing, right? Because it's not that big of a deal. It's small. No, that's part of the sitting with it. Like, why are you that angry to throw now what's cooked food across the room, right? Another time it was leaving me at at a restaurant because I didn't want to eat the steak that was ordered. Well, I thought we were ordering. Are we sharing plates? You know what? I'll be back, and he was gone. So those are things that you have to be like,
Yeah.
okay, you know. So even in that dating process, it's kind of one of those things where you're like, what was wrong in me to accept it, right? Because that's the biggest part is, and it's not saying what was wrong, but what did you why did what's in you to attract that? And
Okay.
that's the need for love. That's the
Gotcha.
feeling of abandonment, right?
And the need for love can show up in so many ways. It can show up sexually, that you're so super sexually active, that you just sleep with anybody and everybody, or you're sleeping with the same, and you're sleeping with so we have to
Yes.
also notice that even in young girls, when they are 16 and 17, or probably 14, 13, 14 now, you
13,
have the,
11.
yeah, you have to understand, because kids don't just get up to be sexual active. They don't think about that naturally. But if
No,
you have a child that's 9 and 10 and they're super sexually active, or always talking about boys, and it's at a level to where it's not normal, that needs to be something that's looked at. That's
absolutely.
a red flag for a parent to look at that and say, hold on, something happened here. What are we doing? What
Mm-hmm.
happened? What's going on? And that's when we have that conversation. You know what I'm saying? So, but and a lot of parents don't even understand. They just say, oh, she just fast. No, she's not. You have to
Mm-hmm.
find out what happened for her to start wanting to have sex at 8.
Yes. And that's
This
part of
is
hearing the scream as a mom, right?
right,
Because it's like, what are they saying? What
right,
are they saying without not saying? And I
right,
always say silence is so loud, because being so quiet, or being an introvert per se, but then they're an extroverted in sexual behavior, that means there's something inside of them. They're screaming for help. They're screaming for help. And that was me. Like, I would find myself like, oh, I couldn't tell you in the beginning of my sexual years of like number of people in a week. I'd be like, I don't know. somebody ask a body count, I'd be like, girl, I mean, are we reformed? Because, you know, I would have to sit with it. And when I actually sat with it, like after this was last year in 2024, I was like, oh Jesus, the body count was high, but it was more of the younger years. There's no way you can have 40, 50, 60 people by the time you're 48. I mean, you shouldn't. I mean, people do, right?
Mhm.
But that's where you're screaming for help. And there was another girl, we were in an event, and she said that as of today, she's 38. At that time, she was 38 years old. She already had 160 partners.
Yeah.
So imagine, but we were talking about what she was missing. And she
Mhm.
said she would just leave one house and go to another one. And it
Right.
started at 10, 11 years old. She had her
Mhm.
first kid at 13. So those
Right.
are the things that they were screaming for help. And as a mom, you have to be aware.
You
Don't
have
just
to.
say they're fast. Be careful of the words that you speak over your daughters.
Yes.
Don't just leave them in a room by themselves. Don't. And your sons too,
Right.
right? But
Yes.
pull them in and say, hey, what are you feeling? What's
Right.
going on? What's in your head as a mom? Because they're screaming too. I mean, boys are
Yeah.
being touched just like girls are being touched.
Yes.
Hmm.
And see, right now, even a lot of women don't want to, because a lot of single parents out here, right? And they're bringing all kind of men in. You meet him today, and that dude moving in 30 days. You know,
Right.
so we as women have to be very careful at the type of men that we're bringing in. We have to be careful and ask questions. And don't be so ready to leave your children with a man you just met 30 days ago. Find out his history. and and
Yes.
and even when you're in the same house, you know and the little girl say, mommy, Jimmy, he looked at me weird. Okay,
Yeah.
what's weird? Ask questions.
Explain. Hmm.
What does weird mean? Are
What
we
does that
talking about?
feel like?
Exactly, what's that feel? We have to. But a lot of women nowadays don't want to hear it because they don't want to not have that man. you know they went through it, and they're not even there. Well, honey, I went through it, you'll be okay too. I done came out of it and I'm fine. No, you're not fine.
Mm-mm.
There
Mm-mm.
is nothing fine about you. This
Nope.
is why your daughter, because you're so fine that you brought a man in your children's life within 30 days. So no,
Yes.
you're not fine. So we have to start listening to our children and ourselves, because you feel it in here. We have that intuition. You'll know if something is wrong. You'll know if he's not right. You'll know if he's not the right
Hmm.
one. We know that. We have to start being more aware of those things. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But
Hmm.
I want to talk more about what happened. What was the needle? What was the oomph that triggered you to be like, I'm done. This is crazy. What was that moment?
One of my sons said that he was going to stab him in his sleep.
Wow.
And it was like, that means it's prison. That's not something that you deserve. And then CPS came to the house and was like, what are you gonna do? We're either gonna take them or you leave.
Okay.
And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I got it. And so that is what was my trigger.
Okay.
Well, you know what? Like, you can overcome anything at this point, but do you want to lose your kids over a man? And it just, for me specifically, it wasn't worth it, you know. But for some women, it is,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I think that's where they're like, oh well, and CPS doesn't come to the house most time and ask you a question, right? They just
Right.
take you out. So it was like I felt like it was almost favor
Yes.
for me because they came and they looked around and they were like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
And the lady was like, "I don't see you as, like I don't know you, but what do you want to do?" I said, "Don't can you give me a week?" She's like, "No, I'm giving you 72 hours."
Wow.
And 48 hours later, I was on a plane. Like,
Wow.
you don't even need to come back.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So your kids saw this. So how do you think that affected your children?
Um,
Did they all see it, or was it the one that saw it, or how did that affect them?
the two of my sons sons did. My daughter was not there, but she heard about it. And even just hearing about it
Yeah.
made her feel away. But with the boys, it was like they didn't have a respect. They don't have respect for anybody if, and not even their own father, because they felt like he didn't protect them when he asked, like, well, can we come to live with you? And he was married, so they felt like, oh no. Now, are they more protective of me? Yes. They're
Hmm.
like, so they feel like they have to protect me in every area. I mean, and I didn't want them to feel like they have to protect all women. I just
Right.
want you to know that you don't have to put your hand on anybody. But they don't. That's the part where even with their sister, or I had a client who passed away 3 weeks ago to the hands of domestic violence. And when I told him about it, the one that was there and actually saw it, literally 6'5", 22, bawling like he was 12, just because he was like, that could have been you.
Wow.
So even though it's however many 12 years later, it
Hmm.
still felt like yesterday to him hearing the story. So it definitely impacted him.
Can you see how it impacted him as far as how he treats women?
He's he's more standoffish until he can feel that he can trust. His biggest thing is he will not be around anybody that he can't provide for. And he becomes, if he can't provide, he becomes very introverted, but he's not going to put anybody in danger. He's more respectful due to the fact of, I don't want to hurt somebody. His biggest thing, he doesn't want to date anybody with children, which is, I guess at 22, I get it. But he was
Mhm.
like, I just don't want to impact somebody else's kid's life like that was done to ours. So that
Mhm.
is huge.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you, okay, let's get back to when you were leaving. How did that go? Did he know you were leaving? Did you have to fight to leave, or did he even know, or you just was out?
I was just out. I mentioned it, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, if you do, then you won't wake up. Or you can try, but you won't wake up." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I ended up telling a lie that I had an interview, um, and I would be gone. It was like an hour away. And that was where the airport was. And my kids were with a friend, and she met me at the airport. And that's how I left. I had already started shipping some things to Texas, but I never left with the bag. So everything that was there was just left there.
Okay. Wow.
Hmm.
So after he found out, when you got to, how did that go? As far as when you got to wherever you were at, Maurice, do you have any questions? You might have a few questions.
Now you go ahead and I'll come in at the end.
Okay. Okay. So you're on the plane, you're in Texas. How did that go then? Was he trying to contact you? Was he kind of was he, looking for you? Or let's talk about that. The I know, because a lot of time they want to know, how did you plan that in 72 hours to leave? You know, that's hard. 72 hours, that's like what, couple days, 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days.
That's not enough time, seem like, especially when you did. What happened if you don't have money? That's what we need to talk about. What happens when you don't have friends, you don't
I
have money?
didn't. And that's the part. Like I wasn't working um there in Indianapolis. I was doing hair, right? And so I didn't have money. And finally I remember calling a friend of my mom's who was older, and I was like, I said, "Hey John, I really need you to book me a one-way flight." He was like, "Why?" And I was like, "I can't tell you." And he was like, "Oh, okay." So he booked a flight. He thought it was just for me, and then he was like, "Well, where are the kids gonna go?" I said, "They need one too." He was like, "Well, that's what you should have said." But had I not had him, I don't know how that would have happened. I had the friend who met me with the kids. She said that I could stay there, but he knew where she lived,
Hmm.
and he circled her house for 3 months, thinking that that's where I was. So because her husband was an officer, he couldn't go up there. I knew that she was good, but it was just the impact of like searching. And then one day I must have posted on Facebook or something, and I don't know how, but he was like, "Oh, you're in Dallas?" And I was like, oh my God. 3 weeks later, somebody saw him in Dallas. So he thought I was like in the city of Dallas, and I wasn't. I was
Mhm.
like in the outskirts of Dallas. But um that he was here for like a month looking for me. But where I was, I knew that I was a little safer in an
Okay.
area.
Mhm.
And even to date, we've never seen him since. So
Okay.
I mean, there's been
So,
threats on social media like I should prepare for death. I've had death uh, messages in my inbox.
mhm.
It's the hardest thing to try and get a worldwide restraining order because I live here and he lives somewhere else. But those are the things that are still like lingering, you
So
know.
is he still threatening you up until
hmm
today?
Up until yes, the last threat was November. It was like right before Thanksgiving.
All this time.
hmm
Okay.
Yep, 12 years later.
Wow. Okay. So that means he's not moved on, right? Okay.
Right.
Okay. That's just crazy. That just, makes no sense for me right there. All this time and you still chasing, you still trying to hold on. But you didn't know
Yeah,
how to
and
treat.
it's yeah, but he was even married. Like I think he's married now, but still makes threats.
Can you imagine the woman he married to? Oh my God. Ooh, Lord
Right.
have mercy. That poor
Right.
thing.
Right.
Well,
In bondage.
yeah, probably
hmm
scared to death. Probably don't have money to leave because he probably tweaked that. He said, "Okay, she got away this way. You ain't gonna get away
But
that
you
way."
won't.
So he probably got that locked down. That thing
Yes.
probably can't even go cross street without him,
Yep.
noticing or something. Because you tweaked when you messing with mental illness, they begin to double down, on the
Yes.
mental illness. Well, okay, this is why I messed up before. I'm not gonna do that this time. I'm gonna do blah 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 blah. So it's almost like
Yes.
she
They
has a
they get a little more crafty in their
yes,
decision making. They're
yeah,
able to plan a little bit ahead, and if you don't know their thought process and how they're thinking, then it makes it difficult for somebody to
right,
think outside of that.
wow. Well, let's talk about counseling. Um, Did you right away go and get counseling, or how long did it take?
No.
Okay.
In the Black community, um, I was just always told like God will fix it. um, if
Yeah,
you pray, it will be okay.
and it's
And that
not
is the biggest lie
ever.
that I've ever been told. And I thought if I pray and go to church every Sunday, Wednesday, any other pop-up services, it's gonna fall off of me.
Yeah, yeah.
And it didn't. And
And you
so
know how
when
many people
it
think like
didn't, I
that?
was like, is something wrong with me? And I remember
Mhm.
talking to a lady and she was saying that she was going through therapy and she was a black woman, very educated. And I said, You go to therapy? And she said, Yeah. I'm like, you've been diagnosed with bipolar or schizophrenia or something? And she said, No. She's like, I've just had a rough life. And I said, Does it work? And she said, Absolutely. So I went with her to a counseling session. And she said, Hey, I just brought my friend. It's not about me. I'll pay for this session. And I didn't know that insurance, you can go through insurance. If you don't have commercial insurance and you have Medicaid will even pay. So there are forms of Medicaid that will pay if you've ever been in any traumatic situation, and they have diagnoses for that too. Um, but that's when I started, and I did not start therapy until 2017. So from 2014 to 2017 is when I left. So 2017, and I went, and when I tell you that, um, I'm not gonna say that initially it was the best thing that happened to me because initially it wasn't. Initially it was hard. It was like now I have to talk about something that I haven't talked about in my entire life. And then she kept going to childhood, and I'm like, girl, I don't remember childhood. Like I couldn't remember the hard questions. So it made me do hard work of digging. And I think that's where I felt the most broken the most ashamed initially, but and then learning that healing wasn't, it never ended. Like healing is always an ongoing process. And so I remember going, okay, I feel healed now. She was like, girl, you can take a break. You can take a break and you can come back. I was like, yeah, I need a break. But and immediately when I started to feel that down, heavy pain in the chest, I was like, or erratic decision making, anger, rage. I was like, oh, I know what needs to happen. I need to go to therapy. So even with the kids, I I have created sessions for them to go through therapy because I didn't want them to grow up being men with anger, right? And so even recently, uh Ryan, he said, "Yeah, I think it's almost time for my therapy session again," because he understands what he's feeling versus what all the things that has happened. So I am 100% therapy girl.
Yes, ma'am. I believe I tell anybody therapy works. I will tell anybody go to therapy. I don't care what, just go have somebody extra to talk to because sometimes you're in it and you hearing the answer, you're talking your way through it, and you, oh my God, that's it. You come with this, that light bulb goes off, and you're like,
Bing.
yes, that's what that is. That's why I do that. And it helps you to recognize your triggers. And then
Yes.
a lot of women, we as women do not understand. I had a really good friend. And I remember at one time she was talking about this. Every man, she made the comment, man, every man I get with, we end up, fighting. And I said, I ain't saying nothing at first because she was, some folk you can't really be honest with, right? And I was like, okay, so she kept talking and she kept talking. And I said, so and so. I said, let's break that down. She said, oh, here come Kathy. I said, well, it's in love because I'm not here to hurt you, but I hear something and I'm hearing what you're saying. And I said, and sometimes it's not them. If
It's us.
everybody that you're attracting to you is abusing you, cussing you out, um, throwing you around, mistreating you, then it's something broken in us. And there's no
Yes.
dibs on anybody. And some people get so mad. What do you mean? I and they're going, and I'm calm down. And she did get upset with me. She
Yeah.
did. But it was okay because I helped her put some attention to an issue that needed some healing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Took a couple weeks. But
Yep. At
Kathy,
least it
I
was a
thought about
couple of
it.
weeks.
Yeah, it did. And I was, it was, yeah, for a couple weeks. I didn't think she was gonna talk to me because that's the, type person.
Yeah.
But, she was like, I went home, I thought about that, I was so mad at you, I didn't know what to do. I said, but you get mad, but is it true? What we need to do? I'm not here to hurt you. But we as women have to be more conscious about who we attract. And a lot of times it's not even about them. It's about us. Sometimes the universe is showing us, or God, or whoever you call him, most
Mm-hmm.
high, is showing you.
Yep.
He'll bring something around, sometimes a couple times.
A couple
When he's
times.
getting when he really wants you to deal with it, he'll introduce you to
Mm-hmm.
it. Then he'll bring it around a couple times. You be like, why does that keep coming up? Because I need you to deal with it for you to move on, for you to get to the next
Mm-hmm.
level. You have to deal with this here.
That's
So we
right.
have to be more aware of what's going on in us so that we
That's
can get the
right.
healing. And how else do we get it but therapy? We can't heal
Exactly.
ourselves. And you
And
can lay it on the altar, you can lay it this, you can do it, but still you have to do the work. So
yep, I
after
always say
you,
that you can't heal what you won't reveal,
yes,
right?
that's
If
true.
you are not willing to reveal the things that have happened, you can't heal that,
Yes,
And
that's
I
true.
think so many people, they say, what happened in this house stayed in this house. Mm,
Mm.
okay. And
Mm.
that's where we as Black people, we say, well, it happened at home. We ain't gonna talk about it. No, uh, and I feel like I'm like the alarm of the generation at this point, right? Because I'm not going to allow any women that encounter me to not be able to start a healing journey. If you don't want to be a part of that, that's fine. It's fair. I'm going to sow the seed, and hopefully you come back. But if you are in this circle and connected with me, you will definitely start the process of healing, because we can't stay stuck. We can't access what the things that we need to. We can't change our mindset. We can't speak positive things over ourselves. We can't even speak positive things over our children if we don't believe in who we are.
That's right.
So that healing, what you have to reveal, you got to reveal it. You got to talk about it.
And that healing is for our children. It's not just for you. How are you going to
Correct.
be or raise healthy children if you are broken yourself? Broken people
That's
raise
right.
broken children, and broken children raise broken children, and it's
Yeah.
generational. Somebody at some point has to stop that right there, that
That
curse right there,
cycle.
that
Mm-hmm.
cycle. Somebody has to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about that. Even with the healing, do you still go every now and then now to counseling therapy? Can you hear me? Maurice, can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, let me see.
Hmm.
Jagola, can you hear me? Let me see here. Can you hear me, Jagola?
I can hear you just fine, but I don't know about her.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, you back?
Yes, I don't know
Uh,
what happened.
Okay, okay. Okay, I was just trying to see because I was just texting you. Can you hear me? Okay.
Okay.
So let's talk about the healing. Are you still in counseling now?
Yes, I actually just re-entered. I stopped for the time that Byron has been in the hospital because it's been really complicated. So I would say maybe like December I stopped, and then I actually just started back 2 weeks ago.
Okay, okay, okay.
Mhm.
So anything else you want to tell us?
Um,
You
shoot,
guys have
I
any
can say,
questions in the chat? Go ahead. Do you have anything else?
um, no, like currently I am, um, I have a nonprofit that I just work with women. Again, it's called a Phoenix Woman.
Okay.
A Phoenix Woman is just that. A phoenix is a bird, it's mystical, but the power in the bird is that anything that tries to attack it, it sits on it, it absorbs what the pain and the thing, and it turns that pain into purpose, or which is vibrant colors. And I feel like that's what women do when they heal. So you can't be that without healing. And so that's what a Phoenix Woman does to help women who are struggling either in DV situations or toxic relationships, because I try to bring awareness to what toxic signs are, what are the red flags. So those are my biggest things.
So is that a foundation, phoenixwoman.com, or do you have a website?
Yes, it is www.aphoenixwoman.org. A Phoenix Woman.
I'm writing it so I can put it in the chat. You said a Phoenix woman.
Mm-hmm.
Go
Mm-hmm.
ahead.
A Phoenix Woman.org. And that's
Oh,
PHOENIX. And then woman, WOMAN.
got you. So you guys got it, right? Brother Rice,
Yes.
you got some questions for?
Yes, I do. But if it's not, if it's too much, just let me know it's too much, because I
Okay.
wanted to get a little bit more background and exactly what you went through. You gave us like an overview, but it still leaves a lot of questions to know, well, what exactly did you go through? So if it's not too much, could you give us a little bit more details of what you actually went through?
As far as the domestic abuse,
Yeah, whatever, all
okay.
the abuse that you want to, that you're able to speak about.
Yeah, I mean, I can do anything. So as far as the domestic, I can say that it started even in, like I said, my first marriage was just well, I should it was verbal more than physical.
Mhm.
You can't wear hoop earrings. Hoop earrings are a sin. So even then it was part of the brainwashing. Um, the physical abuse started, it was the hit, the dragging down the stairs. And I mean, if you imagine yourself in a townhome, I guess, and you think I would maybe 15 to 20 stairs, something like that, just dragged from step to step to step to step, pulled into the kitchen, hit against the refrigerator, and then hitting the refrigerator so hard that my head was like, I can see now in my head like the top, the what was it, Tom and Jerry, or the little birds
Mhm.
swimming, like it
Mhm.
felt like that. But imagine your brain feeling like it's moving in your head. Um, and literally so hard that I literally urinated myself, right?
Mhm.
And had feces in my pants, running, literally screaming, asking, please, 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 please. And when I ran into the garage is when it just got worse. The one thing I will say is that the 911, I remember bringing this up to the court because when you dial 911, it is not a silent 911. Your phone will, now it does, but then depending on the phone, it sent off like a alarm, like a whir, 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 and it stopped. And he said, "Are you trying to call 911?" And jumped on top of the car. And I remember telling the judge, like, that is the scariest thing because you're calling for help. And it's a lot, it's alerted my abuser. How is that possible? And they were like, yeah, it's a safety, it's a safety. No, because all that did was increase the frustration or the anger inside. Like, now I know. And when he jumped on top of the car and like grabbed me, I was like, this is it. Until the police knocked on the door, rang the bell, and one of the sons opened the door to let them in. If I was in that garage, I would not have gotten out of there without the neighbor saying he is going to kill her. He is going to kill her. And that's how it stopped.
Mm. And what was the thing that ignited him to be like that? What was the issue?
I went to a fair that night. It was like a state fair,
Hmm.
and he said that he called my phone, but because my phone was dead, it kept going to voicemail. And I pulled up, and when I pulled up, he was just sitting in the driveway. And he's like, "You didn't answer your phone." I'm like, "Oh, well, my phone was dead." Like, and I was looking for it, like, I don't know where, I didn't know where it was. We're at a fair. And he was like, "Oh, okay. You don't have to answer, right?" And I'm like, "No, like, look, it's dead." And I walked in the house and that was it. That was it.
Mm. And how long was y'all together?
Um, two, well, before that happened, 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
And then
Um,
maybe another 9 months after that. So
mhm.
almost three, but not quite.
Okay. And that was the only relationship that you were in where you were physically abused?
No. There was another one after that one, and that's
Mm.
where the cycle comes in. That one was with a black eye. I was like more embarrassed because how did this happen a second time?
Right.
And it was just the black eye, and I remember missing. He said, Be careful, don't go to work like that." It was no remorse. I think he gave me an ice pack,
Mm.
and I was like, "That's it?" He was like, "Yeah, don't go to work that way. They might fire you." So I literally missed like
Mm.
4 days of work until the swelling went down, but still inside of me made me go, again, what's inside of me to attract this?
Mhm.
Oh, she went off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, maybe she'll come back. But this is great. Does anybody have any questions in the chat?
Cassie, before we, okay, I think this is her coming back.
Okay.
Let me see.
I wonder if she needs to turn her camera off. Maybe that'll help. I just told her maybe to try to turn her camera off and then come back.
Okay. And maybe you heard, in case I didn't, did she address what was it, something inside her that was attracting these type of men?
She did not mention it. I think she was getting ready to before she went off.
Okay. Okay.
And sometimes we don't even understand, even as far as men, dealing with abuse, because men get abused too, right? But a
Right.
lot of times we as people don't recognize that a lot of what we're going through is childhood issues. It's from childhood. A lot of times we don't recognize that. It starts with a parent, and I really do have an issue with men spanking girls, because then for me, now everybody's different. This parenting for me, it shows, it makes it okay for a male to spank, to hit, and it's okay. You understand what I'm saying? And that was what it was in my house. Their dad, which was my husband, my first, he died. He didn't spank them. You back?
Yes.
Yeah. I think he got enough, couple more questions for you.
Okay.
And you were saying before you left out, or you were going to go into what attracted them to you or you to them.
Say that one more time.
What attracted you to them or them to you?
So, um, what I thought it was, well, what it was the fact that they love God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what they said is that they saw me going to church. You seem like a great woman, and all my life I've been looking for a good girl, and I love God too. And I'm like, okay, this is great. Somebody that loves and believes like I do, and not realizing that was the facade, right?
Mm-hmm.
um Sometimes it's even for one, I believe it was more of a trauma bond. Oh, I didn't have a relationship with my mom, well, I didn't have a relationship with my dad, so that's where that trauma bond come in, where we're like, oh, well, we believe that we can be this way, right? we
Mm-hmm.
can we can make it work because we have something in common. And what I've learned throughout that is not, you don't need, it's opposites that attract, right? So
Mm-hmm.
where I'm strong and you're weak, that's what works. And if you're willing to do the work, there are so many people that are not willing to do the work to be okay. And so what attracted me was just what I thought was their faith belief, and come to find out it was part of the game, right?
Mm. Wow.
Hmm.
And do you believe that we can draw people unto us?
Yes, I
And
do.
so okay, go ahead. Go ahead, finish.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, yeah, I do believe, because sometimes I know that people talk about empaths
Mm-hmm.
and how narcissists they are attracted to the people that they feel will give them more.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've learned in broken men, who are little boys inside, they're
Mm-hmm.
looking for a person, a mommy figure, to fill that void of what they've missed as a child. And so I think for me, as a woman who was looking for love in a male, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I didn't have. I'm like, oh, he's loving, but he's looking for something else. And two broken people, you only have broken relationship. And so that's what I've learned in this journey.
Mm. Excellent. Now, one of our people in the chat, Brother Mill, said, "Are these white men who were stalking you?"
No,
No.
no. But is there? I don't know why that question is. No, I've never dated outside of my. Well, yes, I have, but no, it's not. They're not white men. I was like, no, I've never dated outside my race. I'm like, no, that's not true. Yes, I have.
Excellent. And so do you feel as though when we ask the question, what was it in you that attracted the men? Do you see that question, that people can say, well, why are you blaming the victim? She is the innocent party in this. How do you deal with something like that?
Oh, I've heard that so much. Like, okay, well, you're the person that's the problem, and I'm like, no, it's not definitely not me as the person that's the problem. It's the broken, shattered pieces of what was not healed inside of me, right? And so I
Mhm,
don't take that offensively. And I never say that I'm a victim of anything because I am no longer a victim. And I never consider myself to be the victim just because I knew that. Um, I just felt like there was more than just staying and sitting in that, right?
mhm,
As without the victim mentality. Because sometimes we can stay in a victim mentality and think that everybody is out to get me or out to hurt
mhm,
me. And that's not where I sit. I do take what's being said as far as what's wrong with her, and I'll
mhm,
say, yeah, maybe there are parts of me that's unhealed, right? Because if
mhm,
I was completely healed, but then I need to deal with the parts of me of missing the validation from a father,
mhm,
um missing the validation from my mother, missing uh why, talking to people about why did you touch me as a child, because those are things that I never dealt with. Actually, one of my cousins, and I won't say names, but one of the cousins, I reached out to and wrote a letter and had to say what I felt to this cousin, because I don't know if they are still dealing with things that may have happened to them and they found themselves in a situation that they can't get out of, right? And
mhm,
so being able to forgive them, right, is for me, but maybe she can now, or he, uh, can now forgive as well, because sometimes it's more of like they could be holding on to something and they're sitting someplace and not able to access things because of maybe their trauma. So if
mhm,
it's something that I can do to help heal another person, and somebody say, oh, well, what's wrong with her, that's fine. Give me all the fingers, because the more you ask me, the more I can dig in deep and say,
mhm.
is that something that I'm dealing with, because maybe that's something that's not uncovered yet.
Mhm. Wow, perfect. Now, when you pointed that out and you said that there was missing the validation from your mom and from your dad, and so I'm assuming that because you were missing the validation from your parents, then that allowed the sexual abuse to take part.
No, I just didn't know at 8 or 9 or 10
Mhm,
that it was something that was wrong. I was left, like being babysat with cousins. And so
mhm,
then they would try things every time. So then finally I'm like, yeah, I don't think I want to be here. But then
mhm,
sometimes you have to be places because there's nobody else to watch over you. And then it
mhm,
just becomes the norm. Um, and then as I got older, like 14, 15, I was like, yeah, that's weird. That's not something that should happen. But now that seed is sown, and now I know that I don't want to be with girls, but
mhm,
I don't mind being with every guy, because there's a feeling that now needs to be like an urge that the sexual feeling now needs to be tapped into. And so
mhm,
that, okay, I'm not interested in girls, but I'm definitely interested in guys. And so then you
mhm.
find yourself very more promiscuous in the manner of being with men.
Wow. Okay. And when we say the validation, can you kind of like break that down to layman terms? What was that you were actually missing from them?
I would say, like, not knowing who my father was growing up. There were men or situations where I thought this person could be or this person
Mhm.
could be, and they were nice, but they weren't my dad, right? And so my
Mhm.
brother he knew his father, and it was like sometimes he would go with his dad, and his dad would be like, "Oh, hey, pretty girl," whatever, and then he leaves with his son. So it just
Mhm.
left me more vulnerable. I saw other cousins with their dads, and
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, so why do I not have a father? Oh, well, so and so's your dad, but then you don't feel that level of love. Nobody's there to pick you up. There's no gifts from your dad. There's no hugs, no kisses, no playing outside. And my mom, again, single mom, worked. She would buy gifts, take me to the mall, whatever you want, but there was no physical, always huggy, huggy, huggy. It was more like, oh, you want to go to the mall, here's my card. You want to go? Let's go to the mall. So it was always gifts. And I'm like, yeah, but I would see friends. They would be getting nails done with their mom or going to church with their mom or just mom daughter things. And I didn't have
Mhm.
that. And so I think that's where that void happened. And that that's I feel like that's what I needed as a
Mhm.
meaning validation. Like, oh, you're beautiful, instead of being like, girl, yeah, you look cute. No, no,
Mhm.
like tell me I'm cute. Like I shouldn't
Mhm.
have to say, do you like my shirt? Because then that's you're looking for validation. Do you like this jacket? Yeah, I got this jacket. It was 100. Because now it's about material things, right? This
Mhm.
jacket was 150. Now this jacket, no, it was like $10. But even if this jacket really was $10, because I think it's validated by a number, I may
Mhm.
lie as a kid and be like, this jacket was $200
Mhm.
because I felt like that's where I get my validation from, right?
Mm. Right.
There's a reason now I don't wear certain things, not like I can't, but like I wanted to come on here today with my glasses, with my hair pulled in a bun, no makeup, because it's not about what you look like on the outside, but everything that's going on the inside. And I think a lot of times for me specifically, I would wear a mask I've worn a mask forever until 2018, because
Mm.
I felt like it was something. I just show up and be pretty. I show up
Mm.
at church and I'm dressed up. I show up for an event, I'm dressed up, and people are going to say she's cute, but inside of me was broken, right? And
Mm.
so today I don't have to feel that way. I feel like I can wear some leggings, put on a hoodie, and be like, let's go, right?
Mhm.
Because inside of me I've done work. There's more work that needs to be done, but
Mhm.
I've done work enough to know that I'm not who I was a year ago. I'm not
Mhm.
who I was 10 years ago. Definitely not 20 years ago. But
Mhm.
I can sit with myself at a restaurant and go, I like to eat with me. There was a time I couldn't sit alone. I would be like, um, where are we going? Where are we going? And it would give me anxiety to be alone. And I'm not there. And I'm grateful, but I'm
Mhm.
not there now.
Mm. Wow. Do you think that the way the society is set up, that it's more accessible or more easy for the little girl or the woman to be a victim of abuse, mistreatment, neglect? Is it society set up to be more easier for that to happen to women?
100%. Um, and that's because of you have to be, you have to achieve these things. Oh, why are you not married yet? Why
Mm.
don't you have kids yet? Oh, you're fat. You're light skin, you're dark skin. And society tells you that you should be this way. But
Mhm.
instead of saying like, find out who you are, find out what do you like. I remember somebody asking me, well, who are you outside of being a mom?
Mm.
Mm. It took me a long time to be able to say, oh, what things do you like? I like to jump double dutch still to date. I like to go swing on the swing. I still enjoy, I like to color. Like
Mhm.
it's still things that I like to do alone now. And it was like I couldn't say who I was. Oh, I'm a healer. I am a
Mhm.
person who enjoys styling women. I'm not a stylist. I enjoy pouring into people. And before the healing journey began, I couldn't tell you. I was a mom, and that was me. That was that was it. I had no explanation. And I think society tells you that you have to be a certain way. You have to look a certain way. The BBLs and the mommy makeovers, it's fine, right? But what are you doing it for? Are you doing it for the love of someone else? Or are you doing it for the betterment of you? Like maybe what happened to your body, right?
Mm.
I think that when we go into the surgeries and all the things, why? I always say why first. What is your why behind the decisions that we make? If it is so somebody can look at you better, okay, so what happens when that person leaves and the next person don't like a BBL? You gonna suck it out? Like make the decision to be so confident in the
Mhm.
decisions that you're making for yourself. So yeah.
Okay. And so I want to read this from Emil. Emil says, I'm not a female, but all my life I've been called ugly, even by my family.
Mm.
So I'm also broken inside. I don't know how it is for other men, but I can relate to this. Um, what would be the first thing, as Emil says, that he's broken inside and he can relate to what you're saying? What is the first step in the process to actually begin to heal? And is not just a one-day event, but I'm assuming it's a long journey. What does that really look like?
I would say first list the things that were said to you, put it on paper. So that way you can read it. And I always say split the paper in half because this is something that I do. Everything that was said to you negative, write it down. On the opposite side, if you don't know what the opposite things are, if they said you were ugly, the next word is pretty because it's the opposite of ugly. Fat, skinny, right? And if you don't know, look it up on on Google. What's the opposite word for fat? What's the opposite word for this? And write the opposite words on that paper. And then you start to speak those positive things onto yourself. And now that other side and I say every day, because the more you affirm yourself, the more you start to believe. The other part of that would be counseling. Sit with somebody and say, this is what was told to me. And one thing I like that he said is that even though you're a guy, I always say it just doesn't happen to women. These are things that happens from childhood that are that are unrevealed. And I applaud him for saying that as a male, because that's where the first step of healing begins. Remember, what you don't reveal, you can't heal. And he's revealing what has happened. So he's starting the process of healing right now. So that's where I would honestly start with those few steps. Just on paper, all the negatives on one side, flip it over or cut it in half and write all the positives of that same thing and start speaking that.
Mm, excellent. And then he also goes further to say, I've also been struggling with existential crisis, and I've been having a hard time being myself. It's hard, depressing. I hate how society is, and this is why I'm one of the few that want to be alone. Is it dangerous to be alone?
Um, no. And I say no because that's when you're able to sit with you. Now, is it dangerous to be alone and speak the negative things over yourself? Yes. But is it dangerous to speak the positive things over yourself? No. And I say sit with yourself alone because that's where again you can heal and you're not impacting someone else by the hurt that you're feeling. Hurt people, so the more people that you're around, the worse that the hurt gets for the next few people. So again, I applaud Emil for saying like I'm one of the few people that want to be alone. No, stay alone and heal before you impact other people in this journey.
And so I want to ask you this too. We all know that James Brown did the song "It's a Man's World." but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a girl. How do you process that? And is that problematic?
No. Um, I think it is. I think it is kind of a man's world, honestly, because, but it's what you make it, right? I think for women, we have to find our space. If the biggest part of that is if women actually partner together and did more things, it could be a great place. Um, I think that men are just, and I don't want to say men in a one thing either, because not all men are the same. That's the other part. I hate to like put it in a collective. If they say all women were the same, that's not true.
Mhm.
So I think that's where it could, I don't know. That's kind of a difficult one, because I'm like, men are not all the same, but if they were healed, it could be a good place. Um, hmm, that's a tough one for me.
Mm. Do you think that, and I don't know whether you even looked at it this deep, but do you think that there's the problem of the abuse of the female um, started with our intersection with other races, especially the white race? Do you think that that probably was the beginning once you take in a new society and a new way
Mm,
that they, do what they do? Do you think that is the starting point of the abuse of the Black woman?
Honestly, saying it that way, I think honestly that could be, because again, it's a cycle, right? And so
Hmm.
the Black men then saw their women being beat, and then the submission that they got after, right? And I think that is where maybe it started, and they were like, you know what, if she submitted to the white man, then maybe if I do this, she'll submit to me. Because then, as Black women, they didn't need to respect the Black man, because he was out there being beat too. So I think
Hmm.
that could have been the seed sown for us to look at the Black man as less than, and vice versa. So yeah, that's a great, never thought about it that way, but as I picture that, absolutely. Absolutely.
Definitely. And then one of my last questions. Um, you also talked about that your abusers would always reference God.
Mhm.
Uh, so there, I would think, and you would have to correct me, that somewhere in the theology of the church,
Mhm.
there's a problem with the status of women, in the way that I know in some churches women can't
Oh,
get on the pulpit and can't
oh,
teach. Um, so there's a status problem with the woman.
no, no.
What's your thoughts on that?
Think we lost her again.
There we go. I'm like,
Oh,
it was like lost again. No, the devil.
Okay. Did you
well,
hear
yeah,
his question,
yeah.
Jaquan?
No, I didn't hear the question.
Oh, okay. The question was, you
Oh
have.
man.
Can you hear me? Oh, she's gone again. Wow. Well, hopefully she can get back on. Um,
Hopefully she'll come back on.
definitely. Well, while we're waiting, I want to go ahead and welcome everybody to the program. Peace and blessings, Brother Emil. Welcome to the program. Forecast Radio, peace and blessings, big bro. Welcome to the program. Golden Gold, peace and blessings. Welcome to the program. And our program today is called Hear Our Screams. Black Women in Abuse Demands Attention. And we have our special guest today, Jai Brown. This is Sister Cassie's cousin, and she is, would you say, survivor or conqueror? How would you describe?
She is rolling. You know what? Sometimes, like I think we have to go through stuff and to be pulled into our where it is we need to be. If she hadn't have gone through this girl, she is a conqueror. She's amazing. I mean, she is a go-getter, a conqueror. She is just all of that. She's not gonna let anything get her down. A much different person than she was 10 years ago. Whole lot different. A total different person. She's texting me now. She said it's not letting her reconnect.
Oh, wow.
Is she still here or what?
She's having problems reconnecting.
Maybe I'll send her.
Okay. Yeah, I had a question.
Yeah, hopefully she gets back. We'll go straight to your question.
Yeah, she's in England, right? Is that right?
Huh?
Is she in England?
No, she's in
Someone in
America.
England? Okay.
She's in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, but even when us growing up and stuff, she was a little younger than me. But this person is not even the same person as when we were, like 10 years ago. Totally different person. But sometimes we have to go through stuff, and that's almost like our testimony as far as where we're going. You know what I'm saying? You have to. Everybody's got one. Everybody's gone through something, and that right there, I think, is what your gift is. That's your testimony. That's what that's your ministry. And she's life coaching. She has a foundation now helping wounded women who have gone through what she's gone through. So she had to go through that in order to become who she is today. I don't think you can tell me about domestic abuse if you've never gone through anything. What are you going to say? I saw it on TV, So sometimes we have to go through stuff to become who we are meant to be.
Wow.
But I do believe counseling works. I'll tell anybody, if you're dealing with anything, counseling works. Man, women, children, especially if your child has gone through something, or you've gone through something in your childhood, get the help you need to become a better person. Because, in our family, I was a black sheep. Oh, well, I don't care.
Right.
It made me tough. But I had still, I believe in counseling. I'll go therapy in a minute, honey. I will. About anything. Hey, let's get it done. Let's take care of it. Because so many times that stops us from becoming who we are really meant to be. You deal with narcissists, you deal with all kind of people. And some people will deny, and they'll blame other folk. You got men out here that'll blame the woman why they can't be who their best. Just like, no, we're not responsible for pulling out the best of you. You're responsible for giving it. You know what I'm saying? But it takes two in a relationship. But some men, they'll go from woman to woman to woman, and women too, but not understand what went wrong in that relationship. What won't I do? What won't I allow? What was that relationship about? Was that somebody else should have been marrying, or was that somebody I should have been friends with? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we get friends mixed up, and we end up marrying a person that you should have been married to. That person was only there to help you through this hardship. And we end up marrying them and mixing in with them and thinking that's supposed to be your wife forever. And that was not the person that God wanted you to be with. But because you had to go through and you got so attached to that person, but they was only supposed to be there for a minute, and you married them.
Exactly.
So things happen.
Definitely. Emil says, I like her energy I get from her. Is she a therapist? Does she do therapy sessions?
She does life coaching. She's a life coacher. So her testimony is what she talks on. And if you pull up her website, she's at phoenixwoman.org. I think she said a phoenixwoman.org. I tried to put it in chat, it wouldn't let me. But yeah, she's not a therapist. But she does life coaching.
And you said it's.
I got a question. Oh, hello. Yeah, I got a question, man. I apologize for for being late, but my computer wasn't just, when the devil is busy, it's busy.
Boy, I tell you, he busy
Yeah,
today.
I'm like, damn, I can't.
This
You,
shows us how it really is. I'm telling you, this thing is
yeah,
real.
I didn't get that because Brother Marie put the StreamYard link on there, and I'm clicking and clicking like, what the hell? But anyway, um, in the first hour, well, not the first hour, first half hour, uh, was it to the point where this had been a recurring theme for her in different relationships, or just this one relationship?
No, it was a recurring.
Yeah, recurring. Okay.
Reoccurring. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
reoccurring until she got the help she needed. Because it's gonna reoccur until you get the help that you need. That's what
And what
anything. You
what
got
what
to get
kind of
the help.
what? Yeah, but what kind of help did she get?
Therapy. She went to therapy.
Oh, okay. And what was the result?
She's still going. You don't stop. Result therapy is not something you do today. You keep on. Because
Oh,
for
okay.
me, I'll go, I may go for 3 months, I'll stop. I may go for another 4 months, I'll stop. I may go for another, just depending on what you're going through in your life.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
continuous. Growing
Right.
is continuous, especially when you've gone through domestic violence or any kind of
Oh,
abuse.
okay. Yeah. Right.
Therapy is mandatory. Even as I met, even some of my students, I meet them and I was talking to one young man and I'm telling you, Black men in America need therapy. I don't care what you say. They need
Right.
therapy. You've gone through hell and high water in this country. You've been traumatized. You've gone through rage. You've gone through anger. You've gone through disappointments. You've gone through so much. Even every day on your job, it's a mental trauma working with them on their jobs. And this is why when you get your degree, you come away from them and you get into your own vein. And that's what they did back in the day. They didn't come and work with them. They got and came back to the community. It's much easier working with your own. And now we're so traumatized right now. I don't even know if we're going to be able to work with our own. We've been so messed up. We didn't have all of this before we got into their vein. And it's hard not to take on your colonizer's personality. It's hard not to, act something like that, act like them sometimes. I see it with Black folk now. We are just like them. We act just like them. You have to shut that spirit down sometimes, but sometimes we don't even know that we acting like them. Them coons acting just like them because they trained you how. You in their schools, you acting just like them because they trained you how.
Let me say this. I'm speaking from my own personal experiences and from other people, and I'm just kind of upset I didn't hear all of what you were saying in the first half an hour. But when I look back on my first marriage, right, and I couldn't really, I don't want to say love her like she needed to be loved. You know what I mean? Or for a man doesn't give a damn about being loved, not at all. You know what I mean? We want to be appreciated. You feel me?
Yeah, I want to be loved.
I'm
What
not
the hell are you talking
what
about?
the hell? Is that right? Seriously?
Look, no. Feel me. Now, when I got remarried, I became a whole different person. Now, I had my first child when I was like 21, so I wasn't really mature and emotionally mature or all of those things that go with them. But the idea was that I just was not ready. You know what I mean? And having a baby and making my family happy, my mother happy, the spiritualness of my father happy. You know what I mean? Not that I'm trying to fulfill something that they wanted. It's just not what the society in which we live in America garnered from everyone, right? So to make a long story short, in my second marriage, and after doing a whole lot of motherfucking introspection about me, about what I want and what I needed and what I felt is right, I became a better man. You feel me? And the idea is that long before I met this woman that I'm with now and having 2 kids with her, we sat down, we had a long conversation. And I told her, look, baby, for me, right? Not for every other man or whatever, but for a man, a man wants to feel appreciated. When I go to work, bring home the bacon, you know, pay the bill, do this and do that. And she wasn't working now. And I told her, well, because of that COVID crisis, you don't have to work. You know, I'm making enough money, all right. And I told her, look, a man wants to feel appreciated, and a woman don't give a damn about being appreciated. They want to feel loved. You know what I mean? When a woman is having a baby, damn near giving her life because there's anything that can happen in that 9 month period. You feel me? And giving that kind of a sacrifice, excuse the noise, but giving that kind of sacrifice physically has a way of tearing you down, not in a negative way, but mentally, emotionally, and physically having a baby. But all of that is tied up and tied into that relationship. But if that relationship is good, is wholesome, is inviting, is and uh, not what I want to say, not compromising position where one gives up more than the other, but it's a willingness to understand. There's a willingness to talk. There's a willingness to be two adults. She's not my kid. I'm not her son, but there got to be a mutual respect. And so when I look back at my first marriage, I didn't really, I cared and didn't care. I didn't say I wasn't, I didn't give a fuck. That's the wrong impression. But mentally, I just wasn't ready. And that, along with cheating, that's what ended our marriage, man. Even though I knew it was wrong,
Why did you get
even
into a
though,
relationship and get
you know what I
married
mean?
already?
You go through all that um, um, mental juggling, so to speak. Is this okay? Is it not okay? I'm a man, I got a baby, I got a job, I can do this, I can do that. But in reality, you can't do that in a relationship. There's a give and take, and I had to learn that. And as painful as my first divorce was, it like Sister Cass was saying, you got to grow, man. You know what I mean? Because if you're not growing emotionally, mentally, spiritually, then you be the same dummy that I was. At 20, that you might be 30, 40. And some people are just not growing. And maybe since he's not here, maybe that might be the situation that now she had grown and now she sees. And more importantly, to be honest, I just watched a video today talking about what women don't want. And it made a very salient point that a woman does not want a man who does not or is not capable of leading, is not a sucker for everything that she says. Because a woman can have certain words that she says that is not conducive to that relationship that'll make her feel like this man is a simp. This man is a chump. I can do anything I want to do when I want to do it. And one of the most important phrases and words in that interview, I'm just kind of paraphrasing, is like when I go out, I don't have to tell you where I'm going. Or if a man says, uh, I want this, I want that, that's more of a concrete of a man because that man is telling that woman, even in the dating phase or when that person is married, right, that they know what they want. They're not fuddy duddy in the mind, if I can say that word. But the idea is still the same. They got to be mutual respect, mutual honesty. There's no game plan, and a man who comes across as being very solid about what he wants, then more likely than not, that woman is going to pay attention to him because he's leading. He's not being wishy-washy. You feel what I'm saying, Sister Cat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk about with her. Is that is this melodrama or is this something that you like? Some women like drama, like my old ex-girlfriend. She wasn't, she if there was no uh, problem in the relationship, no matter how small or how big. She felt like she had to create a problem, and
Okay,
that.
but where did that come from, though? Listen, where did that
Oh,
come from? That came from
huh?
somewhere. You don't just be
Oh
born
yeah, yeah, yeah.
looking for drama. That's a childhood issue. That's
Right, right,
probably stuff that she saw from her mom or her dad,
right,
her
right,
uncles.
right.
It's a
Yeah,
childhood issue, and
but
this
you know
is
what?
what we're not understanding in relationships. You're not gonna give them the help that drama. You're gonna,
Right.
why? What attracted you to her? You have to look at you too now. What attracted you to that type of woman?
Well,
This
you
is
know
what
what?
I tell people.
Yeah,
Wait,
let me. Okay,
this is
okay, I'm
what I tell
sorry.
people. Don't date. Say, for instance, you just got out of a relationship today. Don't date
Right.
anybody, because
No,
what you're
no.
going to attract to yourself is going to be
Right,
something that you wouldn't ordinarily date in your right mind. You're going to
right,
attract a person, wherever you are in your life. That's the type of person you're going to attract to yourself. So if you feeling low self-esteem, you're going to attract a low self-esteem man. If you
right,
feeling like an 80, you're going to attract the 80. If you're a 20, you're going to
right.
attract the 20. So with you're saying her that she acted like she needed drama all the time. She did, because that's what she was used to. What we see
Mhm.
as children is what we want as adults. So if her mom and dad was always fighting, then that's all she knew. If her mom was always being beat up by other men and she saw that, that's all she knows. If her dad was always beating up on different women, that's all she knew. So that trauma is from her childhood. So it wasn't that she liked it, she didn't know how to get away from it because of not having the counseling that you need. And this is
Right,
why I tell people, you got to have that counseling in order to be a better person. You got to have that counseling, and that'll put you on the right place where you need to
right,
be in order to be
right,
happy.
right. Well, let me give some uh, uh, give some clarity. That's what I'm looking for. In that relationship, like you in the beginning, everything is fine, everything is kosher, everything is cool, and you attracted her. I'm attracted to her. She attracted to me. We got to get to know each other, right? So, but over time, certain words are said, certain things are done, and if you don't pay attention to those things, it's gonna get out of hand. You might come out to be like Brother Emil was saying. A lot of not that they don't. Uh, the bottom line, don't be a nice guy. Women like bad guys. More or less, yeah, I would say that, Emil.
That's
But
not true
the
for all
idea,
women. That's not true. Where you get that from? That's not
well,
true for
no,
all
it's not
women.
100% true. But my point was is that when I heard her saying certain things over and over again, that's a signal for me to get the fuck out. Send her on her way because I'm not your therapist. I'm not your this. I'm not your that. I'm not trying to cure whatever happened in your childhood. That's on you.
I
So I abandoned that relationship. I wasn't about to get fucked up in that shit. Get caught up in that shit. You know what, Sister Cass, I like peace in my house. When you guys get here and you will see the difference between. Well, I don't know how you see it, but it's quiet, man. You know what I mean? Quiet, peace. You feel me?
Your house
Peace.
ain't quiet. What the hell you talking about?
hey, I was just gonna let him walk in that one. Whatever. I ain't got nothing to say about that one. I'm like, dude, your house is quiet as
There's a whole lot of noise up in this motherfucker. What's going on, really? But I kind of grew into that too, man. I'm 53 this year.
well, that is quiet for you.
Yeah, I kind of look forward to little feet running around. Ooh, but I can tell you this: I gave Aaron and Jacob an ass whooping yesterday for breaking something that I like. I'm like, man, woo, they ain't gonna be touching nothing for a while. I know they're gonna be touching something. They ain't gonna be touching that for a while. But like I was saying, like email was saying, some women like bad guys, and some women like good guys. There was a situation that occurred not with me, but in general, where a hardcore gangster would go into a disco, right, or a bar, and all the women be around him, and the nice guy dressed up real nice, talking real proper, and you don't get nothing.
That's not
Next,
true, honey. I
next
don't know what kind of
no,
women you
no, no,
talking about.
no, fill me out. The next bar, the next disco, right, that they go to, the guy that's dressed up nice and talking, smooth and shit, he getting all the women, and the guy that's the gangster getting none. You feel me? So it's a give and a play, so to speak. But when it comes to my own personal experiences, and then looking at her, sometimes you like that shit. You feel me? And you gotta, if it's not wholesome, if it's not good, if it's for you spiritually, mentally, fuck it, man. I had to learn that. I had to literally learn that. My parents always tell me, be careful of the woman that you're with because you want to make sure that she's really for you and you really for her, that you guys can settle down and talk and work it out and have mutual respect for each other, love for each other, appreciation for each other. But like I say, man, for me and men in general, we want to feel appreciated, man. I don't give a fuck about being loved. Shit. To be honest with you, that comes second. But to be honest with you, and a woman wants to feel loved.
That don't make no sense.
No, it makes all of it. But think about it. I can love a woman, right, and appreciate her, but a woman in her heart wants to feel loved. A man wants to feel appreciated. We don't give a fuck about no goddamn love.
It's
I'm
all
just
the same. How can I love? How can I appreciate you if I don't love you?
no, but feel me out. I'm not saying I don't want to feel love, but that's secondary. You feel me? That's secondary. A man, not a gay ass nigga. A man wants to feel appreciated. Point blank. When I go out and I pay the bill, and I go out and I do this, I do that, taking care of my family, taking care of her, taking care of our home, making sure we got money, this, that, and the other. Do I feel like she appreciates what the fuck I'm doing? And the woman I got now does that because we talked about that. And there's no gaming being played. You feel me? You just like in the book. I forget the name of it, but it deals with relationships, and it's by the same guy. It's by the same guy. It's by the same guy who wrote the book, The 48 Laws of Power. He wrote 3 books. And in that book, it details exactly what the curses are and what the blessings are. And you can take it for what it is, but it is very much on point, man. And I'm here to tell you, even a woman on YouTube called Jessica O. Look her up. Hold on. I put that in the chat. Jessica O. When I tell you that sister knows what the fuck she's talking about, she knows what the fuck she's talking about, man. I always listen to it. And for guys and girls, for guys, you know what I'm saying? I'm tripping. She is really good. I mean, she's like, God damn, she's good. And it's just worth it, man. She got, I don't know how many subs she got, but she got a lot. And she's very well known for what she does and analyzing women and what women want, what women don't want, the game that women play. I would highly recommend that the men and the women go to Jessica O. And just listen to her. And she got a lot of fucking good common sense. I was very impressed. They're like, damn. They got some other ones, but as far as I'm concerned, she's the best of all of them, to be honest with you. But like I say, I did not want to ever be in that cycle of that first woman that I was with. Not my first wife. I'm just talking about since I've been here. I went through women like I don't know, like something. I had to put in a revolving door. That was the real shit. But you learn. Hopefully you learn, and by your mistakes you become better, not bitter. And a person can change that letter from I to E by feeling themselves, understanding your motivation and what your true position is in life, and don't stray away from it. Oh, stray away, I'm sorry. But yeah, I just had to share that with you guys. And sorry about the video, it's not working on this computer. I don't know what the hell happened with my other computer. That motherfucker cost too much damn money for it to be fucking up. But I don't know, the devil is working. But yeah, go ahead, bro, Brother Marie. You got anything?
All
Great
right.
room.
Okay. So thank you, Brother Isaiah. Good opinion. But I definitely think that men need love. I know that's one of the main things on my list. If you love me, then you're going to appreciate me. They come hand in hand. And that's something that we can't forget. But, other people see it ways. Not all men are 100% the same.
Mute your mic, Isaiah, please.
All men are not 100% the same. So
Right.
you have to treat the man that you have, by what he likes or what y'all decide to like for each other. But definitely we have to fix the problems in our relationship. I want us to take a little minute and pivot to another relationship. This is a relationship between a black woman and a white man. They were both soldiers in the military, both pretty high, starting first classes. Well, the situation is, when a black man gets angry, it takes him a little bit to get there. The white man, it don't take him no time to get there. They get there like, pow!
He's just angry anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
And
angry.
when you add that alcohol to it, that's a deadly mix.
Oh yeah, that's done.
That's a deadly mix. So we're going to look at this. This is Ashley Henning. And she was murdered by her husband.
They'll kill somebody in a minute. They just got us murder in spirit. That's in their DNA. They don't know any. That's who they are. So just know that if you marry one of their sons or daughters, the DNA is kill, steal, and destroy. That's their DNA. Whose DNA is that? Hasatan. Okay.
Before you do that, Brother Murray, did you see that cop come up on the porch of a black family, and the guy was sitting there, and he said, "Put your hands up, put your hands down," because I sent it to him, and then he shot him like 12 times. Man. That was just some raw shit. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I didn't see you sent. When did you send it? When did you send it?
I think that was last week. I thought you had seen it.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I mean, lit him up, man. Like, put your hand down, put your hands up. No, I'm sorry, put your hands up, put your hand down. As soon as he said, put your hand down, pop, 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 pop. I'm like, God damn. And the man was just sitting there on a bench, in front of the house, like the front porch, right?
That's a sacrifice.
And, yeah, man, that was unnecessary, man. Like, but then again, the white folks are our eternal enemy until we get control of these motherfuckers. And I mean control.
None of them. I just want them to disappear off the face of the earth. I don't want to control none of them. I want them gone. I don't want to have no dealings with them ever. Because these people
I'm gonna look for it and get them back to you.
They are not healthy. They're not whole people. They're not even human. And we don't understand what we're dealing with. Those are Satan's children. And until we understand that, this is why we keep getting to the positions that we're in. And he has us so brainwashed to believe that they're okay. And they're not. These people are not okay. Nothing's good about them.
Definitely. So let's just watch this real quick and we'll be back to talk about it.
Of the moments leading up to the shooting of Ashley Henning, as she and her husband Jordan were arguing in their kitchen after Ashley's birthday party. Things escalated quickly.
Look at him. He already mad.
Absolutely horrific what's seen in that video. And Henning could be seen crying in front of the jury while that video was being played.
Ain't no sense in crying.
So
You're
what is
faking anyway,
testifying
demon.
going to do for him? You know, when we heard that 911 call before seeing the video, you know, he talks a lot about how he's the victim of abuse, right? Saying he's been abused by his wife for years and just couldn't take it anymore. Then you see the video and it paints a very different picture. Can he say anything that can help himself today? Let's talk about that. I want to bring back in attorney and lawmaker Tommy Pope. Okay, Tommy, what do you think this guy? Do you about this guy? Do you think that it could potentially help him in some?
Okay, so we can skip all that. He was found guilty, but he was not found guilty of murder. He was found guilty of manslaughter. His lawyer said murder he didn't do. Manslaughter, we could see that. So they gave him manslaughter. They had one black woman on the jury. When before it was sent to, the case was given to the jury, they kicked her off. They kicked her off the jury. So now it's all white folks.
Of course.
They said, yep, he didn't murder her. So they took murder off the thing and dropped it to manslaughter and gave him 20 years. 20 years.
Okay, let me read what the difference is. Manslaughter is a homicide without malice. That was malice.
Exactly.
That was freaking malice.
Mm-hmm.
What murder is homicide with malice. Afterthought? But still, it was malice, right? So he should have been charged. But this is what they do. They charge us with murder, but then with manslaughter. No matter what, it's never murder.
Exactly.
But that's okay, because when he get his ass in jail, they're going to take care of him. I hope Pookie and Ray Ray get him every night. Don't even kill him. Get him. Don't even kill him. Let him sit in jail for the next 20 years. And hopefully every night for the 20th year, he going to get his payback. Because that was murder. I don't care what you call it. Murder is murder. She dead, she's dead. Whether you malice, not malice, this is what white folk do. They word salad you to death. And that attorney is made to do that. Okay. They already knew that he wasn't going to get murdered in the first place because they don't get murdered. That woman that killed that woman outside of her door she got charged with manslaughter, no murder. But that was malice. But they always claim they don't have no malice, right? Especially when it comes to black folk. I didn't expect him to go to jail for real. I mean, that was good for him to go to jail. I didn't even expect that. Even though we seen the camera, that was malice. Did you see where he went up them stairs?
Oh yeah.
He shot about 4 times. Then he went back and shot her 2 more or 1 more time. That's malice.
And spit on her.
Spit on her. And spit on. Ain't that something? But that ain't malice. Okay, you got it. I hope she hunting him every night. Every night. I hope he see her face every night.
Yep. Children was home.
Ain't that something? You done killed her in front of her kids.
In front of her children.
So now you done traumatized everybody in that house. So look what does that mean for his children? What does that mean for his children? What's going to happen to your kids after seeing that? You didn't traumatize everything, but that wasn't malice. It should have been murder because of what he did to the kids. But this is their justice system, right? We can't win in their justice system. But I guarantee you, if her brother going to do the same thing to him, he going to get charged with murder, right?
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
Yep. Her cousin, who was in the military as well and was testifying, her cousin said the jury people are cowards because they wouldn't stand up and do what was right.
Right.
They were cowards.
Right.
And judge threatened to throw his black ass in jail.
You gonna throw me in jail because I'm telling the truth? What's wrong with these people? You can't even tell the truth nowadays. I'm gonna tell you, I had jury duty the other day, right? I didn't go. I didn't go. Let me tell you why. How many times you can put black folk on jury? And I told it when I went there to the lady, thank God she was black at the window. I had to reappear, right? Okay. But I was gonna tell the judge, can I say, judge, take my name off the list because I'm gonna tell you what, I'm not telling nobody. This system sucks. This system is cruddy, and I will not convict anybody in this raggedy system. Take my name off the jury list. That's why I asked the lady, take my name off the jury. She's a black lady, and I was able to talk to her. I said, you know, but y'all don't well, they ain't gonna put no black up there who think and look like me. I'm not a coon, so therefore they know the coons when they walk through the door, and they know this one here ain't no coon. So they would never put me on the jury. So you're wasting my time. I said, eggs cost $12 now. If you don't know, I don't have time to sit up on the jury or sit waiting to be on a jury that they're not going to pick me anyway. So she ended up taking my name off the list. But still, my thing is, you already know, and I know this system is crooked. I will never convict somebody, especially if they're black, in this raggedy system. I'm just saying, there's no way.
Exactly.
You put me on the jury for real, it's not guilty. Because I'm not going to participate in this raggedy system. Because you can't even convict when you're supposed to. And then you had an all-white jury. What did you expect it to be? What did they expect it to be? Her family should have took care of his behind, period. But you can't do that, though, can you? I think tit for tat.
Right.
Doing to others what you want done to you.
Exactly. It's a must. Even on the show, and I want to welcome Earthman, peace and blessings. We're glad you're here. I want to show this other video of her friend testifying in court.
You think he doing something? He think he got away with murder, huh? Okay.
Hearing from the victim in that case, the military wife murder trial, the victim Ashley Henning's friend and neighbor.
That's a friend.
But during one of our conversations, not this day, but a day before or a prior event, us hanging out, Jordan was talking about his marriage with Ashley, and I told him, I said, well, maybe you and my husband can talk, because me and my husband have been married for 18 years at the time. I said, marriages have problems. You can go talk to my husband. And he said, because he actually got in my face. We were drinking. We were on the back patio. He got in my face. He grabbed in my face like this, and I pushed his hands off me. I said, Jordan, get out of my face. Step back and talk to me. Because like I said, when he's drinking, he's there. He's touchy, he's grabby, he's handsy. So he grabbed my face like this, and he goes, I need you to hear me. And I pushed his hands off me, and I said, Jordan, get off of me, back up, you can talk to me. And I said, you probably can talk to Brandon about this, because for me, it was like, he was a man. He should have been talking to my husband,
right.
Talking to my husband, because I was Ashley's friend.
Right.
And he said, no, I don't. He goes, I respect your opinion. He goes, because your husband's softer than you. He goes, you're more like me. He goes, there are people that are like us. He goes, there's not many of them, but he goes, you're more like me.
That was safe objection. Okay. Thank you. Carry on.
So, and that led us into a whole conversation about how me and him, and I said, well, people like us, I said, we're just built different because of our life experiences. That's just, we have to learn to be abrasive to a point. And that pretty much led us to, him saying, well, there's just some people who are just made weak. And he goes, you're a female. He goes, not many females are strong. He goes, even a lot of men. He goes, even Jason and Jimmy, because during that conversation that night, which was a previous night, he had talked about his neighbors, because they kept coming over to their house, because like I said, we talk about literally everything. We talked about religion that night. We talked about their neighbors, because they talked about how the neighbors knew they had marriage problems, but they would always come over when they would see them outside and wouldn't give them space to have their time. We talked about how Jordan felt that there was a lot of people that, that were soft and didn't understand, how to be hard, or, what it meant to be hard. And he talked about how the neighbors, were soft, and I was different than neighbors. And he goes, a lot of people like to try to be like us. He goes, but they're not like us. So I think there was a boundary very set early on with me and Jordan from that night forward, from that conversation, to where when he put his hands on my face and I pushed him off of me, and I said, Jordan, don't do that. Because I even said, there's just certain lines with me you do not cross. I said, my lines are, you do not F with my husband and you do not F with my kids. And he laughed and he goes, yeah. I said, that to me, you mess with my husband and you mess with my kids, I said, I will gladly rock a jumpsuit and smile in my mugshot if you cross those lines with me. I said, you can come in my house, you can steal my stuff, you can do anything, but don't cross those lines with me. Don't mess with my family. That is important to me. And Jordan laughed and he said, yeah, he goes, I feel similar. He goes, but the difference between me and you is he goes, being military, he goes, I can claim PTSD, and because I take testosterone injections, he goes, I can say I had a rage moment, claim insanity.
Ain't that something?
I was like, yeah, you actually do have a leg up on me if something ever crazy did happen. So Jordan, he was just going back to the party. He was just very abrasive. He was in your face. Like, that's just who he was. He made himself known. But I think there was very early on that respect was known of Jordan. You're not going to come at me. You're not going to cross the line. You're not going to put your hands on me. That's just something we're not going to do. And I think because he's seen I was different than people he probably normally was around. I was definitely different than Ashley. He respected that boundary with me that he didn't respect with others.
So let me ask you about that conversation where he grabbed you by the face. How did that start? How did the conversation start?
That night we were talking. He was bringing up he was talking about their marriage at the point, and he was bringing up how he said, you know, sometimes you just want to give up. And I said, well,
was Ashley there when he was?
Ashley was in the house. Me and Jordan and Brandon were sitting on his back porch, and the reason Ashley had went in.
An objection there. They're going to go to sidebar, but a great moment to pause because we just heard this witness say that the defendant claimed that he could use PTSD as an argument if anything ever happened and blame it on his medication. Let's bring in our trial attorney standing by, see what she thinks. From Washington, D.C., Megan Whiteside is with us. Megan, your thoughts?
Now, of course, he did use that, and the jury believed it, and that's why he wasn't sentenced to, he wasn't convicted of the high-level murder and just manslaughter. Also, the problem was that she stopped having sex with him, and because the little friend will go ahead and tell him a little bit more, but you know, she was like, he's very transactional. He'll do good, he'll be nice, then he wants some sex. He gets the sex, then he goes to back being evil and mean and all this and until he wants sex again. And so she said, fuck it, I'm not going to deal with it. I ain't giving him none. It ain't going to be that type of party no more. He got fed up with it not being that type of party. And we saw
that's what it was.
Consequences of not putting up with that type of party no more. She's dead and gone.
He didn't get charged with murder.
Exactly.
Manslaughter.
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't with malice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. This country, I cannot with these people. I cannot with these people.
Mm-hmm.
We keep telling people these are dangerous people. We keep telling y'all they are very dangerous. They are not stable. They have Satan as their father. And you keep sitting up there looking at the outer man and you're not looking at that spirit. He said, try the spirit with the spirit, right? I can look at that in video and see he wasn't a good person.
No,
you can look at that. You can look at that and tell he flies off like that, and you won't have to hear that brother get away from him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he very well could, and he did, and he got away with it because he said PTSD. She told him what he was going to use. She told you. They didn't hear her. They don't hear white women. Y'all not understand that? They don't hear nothing white women got to hear. They don't hear white women. They only hear themselves. White men. They didn't care what that woman had to say because they don't acknowledge their women like that. So if you're not going to acknowledge your own, how would you acknowledge a black woman?
Mm-hmm.
You don't care. So, hey, we're not going to put our brother in jail for life, death, possibly for a nigga. I'm just saying. We got to understand how these people think. They don't like you. We only been free how many years? They still hanging you. You had 2 twins that got hung in a sundown town.
Exactly.
Shot in the head. Okay, these people ain't gonna change because they pass that DNA down. That DNA don't lie. That DNA go right with the next generation, and that's in their DNA.
Yep, exactly. And I know we only got a few more minutes, but what are your thoughts on the little brother that stabbed that cracker at the track meet? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh boy, glorious days. Glorious days.
Mm-hmm.
Glorious. He gonna get some time though because he black. Even though that dude was bothering him, he gonna get some time. Unfortunately.
Now, do you think stand your ground, since that was Texas, and the white boy did, jack him up to try to do something to him? You don't think stand your ground would work?
I think it should, but with you black, it didn't work for that brother in Florida. I mean, come on now. Let's be honest. That don't work for us. That worked for them. Those laws are for them. We got 2 separate laws. Stand your ground works good for them, but it ain't gonna work for you. Even you got a guy. Who was that? We just talked about this last week. Who was that? We just had a story last week where the brother. Oh man, I can't even remember. We had a story last week, and because the brother took up for himself, and the guy, remember, he was fighting. The white guy hit him several times, right? They arrested him, got him brought up on charges. It wasn't self-defense. It should have been self-defense. It would have been self-defense if the guy was black, was white, black.
Right. Outside of the bar.
Yes. And the white guy kept hitting him. He didn't say nothing. Man, then he hit the dude. Dude fell, hit his head on the concrete. So he didn't really kill him. He hit him. And the dude died in the hospital. That's self-defense. But see what I'm saying? Not for us. Not for us. Not for us. They want you to take that whooping no matter what. You better not say nothing. You better not touch them. You better not do nothing. But
y'all need to chill out, because y'all just prejudice against white folks. White folks.
Yeah, you're right. I am. You're right. I am. I surely am. I surely am.
Y'all just reverse race.
Yeah, whatever you say, that's me. All of them. Not one.
I love white folks. Don't get on them like that.
We can tell.
Oh shit. Well, look, I believe that young man went through hell and high water. You know what I mean? And having 2 identical boys on him like that, it ain't like, he just stabbed him out of nothing. That doesn't make any sense. You feel me? But I hope we do get off. But what we just seen with that white guy and the black woman, they just might railroad his ass right on down the line. You know how it goes. It's just sad, but I don't know. That's why you gotta get control of your emotions and start beating that ass.
That's why I don't believe we need to be making
that'll probably be the last on my list of things to do. Even if I do have a knife on me, it's good to know it. But even if I do have a knife on me,
you gonna let them beat you up?
No, them white boys. No, I'm sorry. I'm not getting. I wouldn't have gotten them whoop my ass. No.
Separation is key. That's all.
I would have been fighting real fucking dirty.
Separation is key.
You know what I mean? It ain't no motherfucking love between me and white folks. If I stab that motherfucker in his eye with that pencil or whatever the hell it was, then you know what I'm gonna do. I don't give a fuck. You can stick your finger straight into the eye of a person, and it don't take a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure points and stuff like that you can hit. But the quickest way to end a fight is to stick your fucking finger in that motherfucker's eye. And you ain't got to be exactly on the eyeball. But just even if they close their eye, that's right there. Just
Okay,
think
Isaiah, we got it. We got it, Isaiah. I'm telling you, we got it. You in that little fifth grade fight. Sound like that's the only fight you ever had. We got the fifth grade fight.
Well, you might be right, because I never really had that many fights there.
You ran all the rest of the time. Huh?
Yeah. Well, look, my father said a good run beats a bad stand any motherfucking day.
I fight in a minute. I was terrible.
So there ain't no love lost in that phrase, boy. I tell you that.
I think women are more out to fight more so than men are.
Huh?
I think women are more ready to fight than men are.
Yeah, but you gotta at some point you gotta take a stand. You don't let nobody keep. They will only do to you what you allow them to do.
That's right.
And I just seen another Karen episode today. And man, the capacity of these motherfuckers. They don't think a white supremacy is like I'm gonna beat you're not gonna beat my ass shield or force field around them. However you want to put it, but yeah, it's people got that shit bad, man. They can get my ass whooped. They just ain't important.
We gave it to them. We allowed them to think like that because we stopped beating their behinds. We scored them. When we stopped clocking them and we allowed them to clock us and not hit back, that's what we created. So they think all Negroes gonna let them clock them and not do nothing. And then when you get one like that one, that's stabbed him. He didn't expect to die. He didn't expect that brother to do nothing. That's why he touched him. And that brother was tied.
Right, yeah.
So that's self-defense. He put his hand on him as self-defense. And if he got a good lawyer, hopefully, but I'm gonna tell you what, in this justice system, legal system in Texas and Florida, they are racist as crap.
Yeah, they're justice, they're just us. So
that's why I believe in separation. Get away from them. Don't have nothing to do with them. The first time they start messing with you, you're gonna have to whoop up on them because if they, keep on, just leave them alone. Just get away from them. Just get away. Separation. And when Trump talked about that Separation Act, I hope he do that because that way you're gonna force black folks to do what we need to do. Separate from them. Separate. That's all I believe.
But didn't he say, don't come near me, something like that, before he stabbed him or something?
Huh?
Didn't a black boy say to the white boy, don't come near me?
And he came near.
Yeah.
So he got what he deserved.
Like a deer, yeah.
Okay, so now he okay, now what? So now you want to blame the black boy for defending himself.
Did he kill both of them or what? Did he kill both of them? Did he kill both of them? Both two white boys. Did he kill them?
No, he only killed one.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Well, that's fucked up, but
that's sad.
Yeah.
Because of the simple fact they didn't do what they supposed to do. Now, my thing is, if that was happening and it was continuously happening and he was harassing and bullying him, some should have been done before the death. Some should have been. And see, this is what's going on. These schools not doing that. The police aren't doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
They'll tell them, hey, what was that when they was marching? And they called the police and the police said, the Klan was marching in Ohio. Was it Ohio's neighborhood? And they said, they're not doing nothing. Oh, yes, you're out here with a gun in front of my babies. So now you're going to tell me you're not doing nothing? So is this harassment? So you're not going to do nothing? Okay, so now black folk is out there marching and, protecting their own neighborhood. Now the woman got up there, got the nerve to say, come up there and say, don't you think this is taking it too far? No, don't you think did you ask them why they come in our neighborhood with guns? Exactly. That's what he should have asked her. Don't you think they took it too far by coming over here, harassing us? So we come up here with our Second Amendment right. Now you got something to say? No. You should go over there and talk to them. Why you not talking to them crackers? Why you not asking them why they come over here and mess with black folk? We mind our own business. You ain't had no. She didn't even go and interview them. She wouldn't interview the black folk. No, go over there and interview the crackers and ask them why they come in the black neighborhood in the first place. Because I don't believe they gonna get away with whatever. You just have to fight that stuff in court. But you ain't gonna this justice system. It's got to come from the Most High for them. That's all. We're not gonna ever get justice in their system. It's got to come from the Most High when he start whooping up on their behinds by having them school shootings and stuff. That's how you know that he's not pleased when them school shootings happen.
Yeah, I agree. Maurice, remember the book Negroes with Guns?
Yes.
And we shoot back. White folk don't believe we shoot back.
Oh, they about to find out. Oh, they know. They know certain ones they don't mess with. When you walk in with your weapon out, they don't mess with you. When you out at the store, you got your side piece on, they don't bother you. They look at you like, ooh, okay, we know not to mess with him. They going about their business. They don't mess with black folk. They know who you just have a certain look when you're not having it. Exactly. And they'll mess with you. Exactly.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and move to closing comments. And I definitely want to say this to Brother Isaiah, since he has recently found out that his channel got hit with a strike and he's not able to produce any videos live for about a week. You should wear that as a plate of honor because it shows that you've been busy. Yeah, you've been getting on their ass and you've been getting on their nerves, and they say, we're going to teach this nigga to shut the fuck up or else. And so, continue your work, but wear your badge very, very proudly, because there are so many people on YouTube who has never had their platform striked. And they're supposedly speaking about the good of us as a people and what needs to be done. Brother Forecast has had his channel strike many times. Brother Emil have had his platform strike many of times. I have had my platform struck many of times. So you're in that category now of good people. You done risen up the ranks now to be on the crackers' radar. So now that they're looking at you, you're in real good company. And so we're proudly prepare for your next channel, because they will take your channel off into more strikes. So, prepare yourself. But don't hold your head down, hold your head up, as because this is a good thing. This is a good thing. And Isaiah says that you should write an appeal. That's how he got his channel back. When they did that to Emil appealed it. I appealed each and every last one and always lost the appeal. But
we already know why you lost. You ain't gonna win no appeal, never. They change your channel every 6 months.
You know I'm gonna talk my piece. I don't give a fuck. Remember, I told you last. I didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah, I know you didn't know. That's what I'm like.
But I think I know what it is. I used what's the name of that the black comedian, that older guy that died recently? Paul Mooney. So I did a show last night about understanding white folks, and his show was analyzing white people, and it fit in real good. But I only did like 15 minutes of the first hour of his show on whatever show it was. So I didn't know it was copyrighted. So I'm going to try to appeal and then let them know I was using it for educational purposes and stuff like that. But we'll see how it goes.
Well, you don't get your channel struck for copyright. They don't strike your channel for copyright. They'll just quiet that section of the video for copyright. You got struck because you violated community standards, which means you was teaching hate.
I was preaching hate.
You was a hate teacher.
I don't know. I haven't looked at it yet. I really don't give a fuck, but
moving white people behind like you supposed to.
Yeah, but look at what Paul Mooney said in his goddamn video. Did he get it straight? Or the person using his video? Come on, man. That shit don't make no sense. But it's up on Rumble and it's up on X. So I don't give a fuck. I just won't be doing YouTube as much. That's all.
Yeah, you definitely have to use those other channels.
Right, right,
To actually pay attention. But like I said, wear it with pride that you're now on their radar, so they see this nigga got a show.
right, right, right.
So good job, good job.
Ah.
All
Well, if
right.
I ain't ruffling, look, if I ain't ruffling, no, and you ain't ruffling, and if Sister Cassie ain't ruffling no feathers, we ain't doing our job.
You got it right. That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck all white on. Now, how you like that, YouTube?
All right, all right. We'll go to closing comments. Cassie, we're gonna start with you.
Soon as Isaiah mute his mic, he got a house full of babies.
Don't he?
Oh my goodness, this was a great one. It's just very unfortunate, and I think this show should have been full, seriously. But this shows that it's a lot of pain out there. It's a lot of people dealing with a lot of pain, and it's time to deal with it. It's time to be honest. It's time to be healed. It's time to be whole, and it's time. You can only move forward after you're healed. You can't move forward in the midst of before you're healing. And some people try to do ministry with the hurt. You can't minister with the hurt. You have to start the process. And like she mentioned, she has a foundation. My cousin, she has it's called a Phoenix Woman. She has a book. I'm gonna show you her book. Her book is, I don't know if you can see her book. It's called Resilient Woman. That's her. And I think it's on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. It's called The Resilient Woman. And she's gone through, and she's come through. She's come out of it and coming out of it as a champion. So it's time for us to deal with our stuff so that we can walk into our purpose, so that we can walk into everything that we are meant to walk in, because we only hold ourselves back when we hold on to the hurt and not release it and get healed from it. You know, Isaiah, he made a couple comments about women, and I keep telling people they're keeping women busy now because they know that these men aren't in the home. So now you got women working 12 to 16-hour days. Who's watching those babies? A lot of times strangers, a lot of time babysitters who doesn't have the best interest for your children. So let's start listening to our babies. If they're telling you something's going on, let's listen to them. But all of this is done on purpose. They're putting our babies in dresses, you know. And then Isaiah talked about respect. Well, let me tell you, a woman will respect you if you, some of the hardest women will respect you and will submit to you if they know they can trust you, if they know that you got their back, if they know that you are going to keep them safe. You can get the hardest woman on earth, excuse me, to submit to you. They just have to know that they can trust you. Also, Isaiah mentioned something else, that women like to be abused. Women like to be traumatized. Or he said something about women like trauma and drama. I don't think that's true. I think a lot of women have been brought up in it, so they don't know any better. It's not that nobody likes trauma. Nobody likes it, but that's all they know. And without getting that healing and that therapy, and I think a lot of Black folk need therapy, and they don't even know. They'll tell you, I'm good. And they cussing out everybody, shooting and stab deep. No, you're not. You're not good. If you are, you have a lot of stuff going on in your life all the time, then no, you're not good. Even the ones that are so passive aggressive, you need counseling too. And some men are passive aggressors. And then they say, I'm good. I'm not, violent. I'm not this, that, and the other. But you are when you're being passive aggressive. So I do believe, like I said, I believe all Black folk need some healing. And it doesn't hurt to get healed up in our community so that we can come together and start loving on each other. Because right now we are so traumatized. We don't even know what love is, Maurice. We don't have a clue. We'll get into a relationship. We'll think we want this from a woman. That woman show you that, all of that, and some, and you still not happy. And then that man will show you all of this, that, and the other. And you'll see, this is what you said you wanted. They giving it all to you. You still not happy. So I do believe that we as Black people are all traumatized in this ridiculous racist country that I can't wait for China to come in and bomb it down. I shouldn't say that. Anyway, I ain't going to say that. But I don't believe in violence. I'm going to just say I believe in, I believe in you hurt me, you come, I'm coming back. I believe in, defending myself. Okay. So I'm not going to say that. I should be saying stuff like that anyway. So, but just, let's just do the healing, do the work. That's all.
Definitely. Brother Isaiah, your closing comments?
Yeah, and seriously, this is for everybody, but specifically for Emil. If you can, bro, go to YouTube and look up Jessica O. And when I tell you that sister really understands, as a woman, what women want, what women don't want, what women do on the slide, what women don't do, what women expect, all of that. So I have a lot of respect for that sister on YouTube. But let me say this. I'm just speaking from my own personal experiences. I have a very, very high level of integrity, honesty, commitment, and all of the virtue you can ever muster. Kindness, generosity, because I live that every day. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is to thank the two gifts that I got when I wake up on my eyes. And I thank God for all the organs and all of this and all of that, my family, everything I bless. Before I go to bed and when I wake up. The one thing I will never do is sacrifice me. I love me to fucking death. I'm not going to take nobody and put them before me. My sanity, my face is holy to me. I appreciate my time to myself because I can be reflective at that moment. However long it may be, it might be 10 minutes at the very least. It might be an hour, just for me, because that is my therapy. Number two, there's nowhere in the world, and this is just me talking, that I can how you say that? I cannot not love the woman I'm with, because I know a woman's heart is different from a man. You feel me? And they want to be and feel loved. That's just some real simple shit to understand. But within that love comes appreciation for what she does as a woman, as a father, as a mother, as a friend, as a lover. You know what I mean? And the reverse of that is for a man. A man don't give a fuck about no goddamn love me. You don't love me. Ooh, I want love. Man, fuck you. That's some weak ass shit. I can honestly tell you, when a man approach a woman with that, you love me, nigga, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? A man wants to feel appreciated. Within the appreciation, there is love. You feel what I'm saying? It's all one and all. So that's just me talking. Now, somebody might be a little bit different, but the bottom line of it is not losing yourself in the arm, mind, heart, and soul of a woman, and that woman not losing herself. Two distinct adults that must come to terms with the differences and the sameness of it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, or whatever the opposite of difference is. But it's all about communication. I don't have to shout and scream at my wife. She's not my daughter. I have to respect and listen to her life story and walk in her shoes, and just like she did with me. You feel me? But the idea is that within that framework of understanding, there is love and appreciation, because I can understand where she's coming from, her life experiences up until now. And we've grown together. I ain't saying we perfect. We be nitpicking and shit like anybody else. But the idea is that we sit down, we talk about it, we work about it. Because I don't want her closing up her store at night. I can't get in. That's kind of hard to take. But yeah, so keep that store open, guys. Tell you that door closed. That's it. And fuck all white folks.
Thank you, Brother Isaiah. Sister Cassie, you think you'll be able to get your cousin back?
Yep, I was just gonna say we just texting, and she said maybe in a couple weeks. I know she's got something next week. Probably not next week, but maybe the next week. We were just texting about that.
Okay, good. Yeah, because if she can be somewhere, you know, and focus and get the time devoted, so we may not have the issues that we had today.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was some other things I wanted to be able to go over and get her thoughts and opinions on. But tell her definitely thank you for coming, and I look forward to her rejoining. And that was some great information. I did try to look up her website, but I couldn't get it to come up. And you did say phoenixwoman.org, right?
Phoenixwoman.org. Let me see, how am I spelling it? Hold on. Let's go on Facebook. I know she's on Facebook. If I go on there, hold on. A Phoenix Woman. That's her YouTube. I mean, that's her that is her Facebook page. And let's see. Let me try to go on there and see. It's PHOENIX woman. I was spelling it wrong. Let's try to go on there and see. Okay, .org. I think she said .org, right? Yeah, she did.
Is this it? I think I found it. Let me see.
PHONEX. Hold on, let me see.
Is this it?
A Phoenix Woman.
Okay.
Let me see. Hold on. Only single mothers, yet women. I think I'm trying to make sure. Let me see. X about us. Donate. Hold on. I think that's it. Our work. No, donate. I was trying to be sure. I think that is it, though.
Okay.
I'm gonna text her and see, because I know she's probably at her appointment now. I think that is.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. EONIX.org. I think that is it, though. I just texted her. I didn't get an answer, but I think that is her website. I know you can also join it on Facebook. She's got a Phoenix Woman on Facebook also. If you want to, look her up on Facebook and leave her a message.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna just drop this in the chat for people who wants to.
I tried to drop some information in there. It wouldn't let me. I guess you have to do it.
Let's see. Okay, yes, I just put her website in there.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, we'll try to get her back. And you just I'll let you know. We're gonna kind of talk and see, because I know next Sunday she has another speaking engagement. So I'll check maybe the Sunday after that.
Okay, and even if we have to change it to a different day other than Sunday,
okay,
as long as it's not Tuesday, then I'm open for that as well. Whatever we do to make it happen.
Okay, I'll let her know, because I know she does go on Fridays or Wednesdays on live Facebook.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just think it's like 7 or 8 o'clock, I think.
Now
Yeah.
that Facebook video live that you sent me that I watched, that wasn't her, right?
Yeah, that was her. That's her.
Wow.
Yeah, that's her. That's why I wanted to show you, But yeah, was that Wednesday? Was that a Wednesday at 7 or something like that? I can't remember what day it was.
I believe
Because I want to, in case some people want to, look her up or join her. She does go live on, I want to say, I don't know. Thought it was Wednesdays, maybe not though. At 7, but I'll get more information and put it in chat after the show.
Okay, perfect. All right, family. We thank everybody for joining us today, even though our numbers are unusually low.
Yeah, I think that title scared folk, huh? I told you it's a lot of people dealing with stuff. A lot of people dealing with stuff. That's not a topic people are ready to deal with. You got to be ready for that one.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
We are dealing with some traumas in this country, and it's because you're dealing with them. That's stuff that we got from them. I believe that if we weren't around them, life would be so different for us.
Oh, most definitely.
Because in the 70s, we knew how to treat each other. Uncle so-and-so wasn't coming over there raping no babies.
No.
If they did, they got dealt with.
Exactly.
Not brothers.
Exactly.
So yeah, this is very, but it's hard not to be impacted when you're around your colonizers. It's hard not to be impacted.
Exactly. All right. Excellent program. We thank everybody in our audience for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And don't forget, we'll be on again on Tuesday with the continuation of the book, The Fall of America by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we'll be back again next Sunday. Still working on that topic. Probably the other topic that you put in the chat, Sister Bessie.
About women, yeah.
Yeah.
I might have another a really good friend that can come on. I'll check and see.
Okay.
I'll check and see.
Perfect. All right. So as we always say, family, you kill the nigga in you, I'm gonna kill the nigga in me, and our
God will reign supreme. We are Black Bird today, tomorrow, and forever. And for the next 365, 24/7, baby, stay black and fuck all white.
All right.
Peace, family.
Peace.
You better get the message and get it straight. You're gonna need some bridge work. It's simple as that. Because we're living in judgment. We're living in implementation.